Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
So welcome to the Neenah Aldermanic District 1 Candidates Forum presented by the League of Women Voters of Winnebago County. I'm Margie Davey, President of the League, your moderator tonight. The League of Women Voters seeks to inform citizens about major public policy issues and about candidates seeking office. We are proud to be nonpartisan and never support nor oppose any political party or candidate. Due to the continuing pandemic, we are conducting this forum in person, but without an audience tonight. Public questions were solicited in advance and may have been edited for brevity and clarity. 3 candidates are competing for 1 seat representing District 1 for a 3-year term. These include the incumbent, Kathy Boynette, and 2 challengers, Kristen Sandvik and Deb Frankoviak. I'm going to start by reading a statement from Kathy Boynette, who was not able to be with us tonight, and then we'll have questions for the 2 of you. Okay, Kathy's statement says, "Hello, my name is Kathy Boynette. I am your current District 1 City of Neenah Alderman. I have been on the council 2 terms, 6 years. I currently sit on the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee. I also am on the Neenah-Menasha Fire Rescue Joint Finance and Personnel Committee and a Water Commissioner on the Water Works Commission. I am actively involved in my community with the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 33 and DAR, Daughters of the Revolution, Appleton Chapter. I am married to my husband Derek, and I have children and grandchildren in the community. I enjoy being involved with my grandchildren's lives, such as their school, church, and sports. Doing so not only allows me time for them, but gives me opportunities to be involved and stay in touch with residents of the city. I'm a retired unit support staff nurse. I have been told my desire to help is a caregiver's curse. I feel like it's in my DNA to give back and to help my community. I'm always finding myself saying yes to help wherever I can. It's my passion to care. Although I have accomplished many things during my time as your alderman, I'm proud to say that I have helped a family with a hearing-impaired child obtain a deaf child sign in their neighborhood. I have also helped another with getting a fence permit approved, and it has aesthetically beautified the area as well. I have helped an entire neighborhood establish a study of facts of what works and what doesn't work in speeding for their residential area. I'm proud to say I was the first alderman to use the temporary speed bumps that help slow the traffic and make people aware of how heavy their foot is. I have helped jumpstart removal of lead pipe services in the city by asking the city council to move a street project up a year sooner in our CIP plan. Because water projects tend to push street projects, in this street in question had significant number of lead services that we could replace. That work has now been completed. I've even picked up groceries for a resident and given another a ride to doctor appointments. To me, this job does not end at the sound of an adjourned meeting. You will hear some candidates talk about their constituents. I've never used that term. I like to think I have a personal connection with the residents in my district. I work with the city on behalf of my neighbors. I don't do this job as an alderman for any glory or fame. There are no riches. We're actually paid $400 a month for our time. Just a quick update on current information about projects the city is currently working on in District 1. The new buildings downtown should be complete by fall. Downtown businesses and the city have some concerns about crossing Main Street/Wisconsin Street, and our city traffic engineer has been requested to look into this. The city has already done some studies for this area. And lastly, the splash pad at Shattuck Park should be complete in time for this summer. All great things to look forward to. For me, it's a passion to help others and to do what I can for the greater good of this city and for the future of our youth. I ask for your continued support and your vote on February 15th. Thank you for your time, and God bless. And that ends the reading of Kathy's statement. Now we will go back to our regularly scheduled program. I will be asking the two of you questions. I'll read the question. I'll call on one of you to answer it, and then the other, and we might go back and forth. It'll depend on if I can remember whose turn it was. You know that we have a timekeeper, and you'll keep an eye on her. She will give you intermediate time so that you know how much time you have left. Our first question will be for a full 3 minutes, and I believe you were given that question in advance, basically, to introduce yourself to us. And after that, we'll have a minute and a half, or maybe 2 minutes. We can see how we do with time. So, you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Well, going alphabetically then, I'm going to start with you, Deb.
Great. Hi, I am Deb Frankoviak. I am 54. I'm originally from the Milwaukee metropolitan area. I moved to Neenah in 2015 due to a job promotion with Children's Hospital. I commuted for quite a while. I say quite a while because it felt like it took forever, but decided that I needed to look for a place here in this area. I looked in Oshkosh and Appleton, and eventually really decided to stay here in Neenah and absolutely love this city. I'm currently self-employed. I'm an organizational psychologist and an executive coach. I have over 30 years of experience in healthcare operations, culminating in my role as the executive director at Children's Hospital here in Neenah. I have a doctorate in industrial and organizational psychology. I have a dual master's degree, one in business and one in in healthcare administration. And then I have a Bachelor of Health Science degree. I decided to run or compete for this role on the City Council because I have a deep desire and passion to serve people. I think working to Kathy's earlier point, people in healthcare have this passion to serve people, and in my case, I really, really want to give back to the community that's given so much to me in such a short amount of time. I really hope to see our town continue to grow, and would love to see the continued desire for families to keep wanting to live here, to work here, and to play here. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you so much. Kristen?
All right. I want to start with saying thank you to the League of Women Voters for organizing this opportunity to present my ideas to the voters. I also want to be sure to say thank you to everybody who has been supporting me through this journey. This area is my home. My family moved here around my second birthday when my dad was hired by Neenah Foundry. I went to Nicolay Elementary School on Doty Island, where I have fond memories of bridging the boulevard days when we visited Roosevelt Elementary. I attended Maplewood Middle School, and I graduated from Menasha High School. While in high school, I had the opportunity to volunteer in Japan as a camp counselor at an English immersion summer camp, which broadened my horizons greatly. After high school, I earned a BA in sociology from the University of Wisconsin in La Crosse. While in college, I worked at Lutheran Social Services as a direct support professional in adult family homes for adults with developmental disabilities. After I graduated, I continued as a supervisor for 2 of their adult family homes. After leaving LSS, I worked as a W-2 coordinator, which is Wisconsin's application of TANF funds. In these roles, I gained direct knowledge about the application of government programs and how things like policy and budget changes can have a real effect on our citizens. While in college, I also interned with Cooley Region Mediation and Restorative Justice Program, a program which offers mediation services to eligible offenders and victims in an effort to offer closure to victims and reduce recidivism. I first learned about restorative justice while studying abroad in Hong Kong, and I was excited to see that we had a restorative justice program in La Crosse, where I was living at the time. While Outagamie County does have a limited restorative justice program, an expanded program into Winnebago County could benefit our community. During this time, I also met and married my husband David after he finished his service in the U.S. Marine Corps. After David finished his degree, we moved back to the Fox Cities and I decided to stay home with my oldest son. During that time, I volunteered as a La Leche League leader until I started working part-time at the Neenah Menasha YMCA. I worked as a lead teacher in the Growth and Development Department until March of 2020. While there, I practiced my patience and my creative problem solving through working with toddlers every day and got to interact and grow with families in and around Neenah. Early in the pandemic, I also started a home-based micro bakery to channel my extra energy. I have been a homeschool parent and an administrator for our small homeschool co-op for about 6 years. This too has given me the opportunity to collaborate with families throughout the Fox Valley and practice out-of-the-box thinking. I am running for City Council because our community is important to me. I will emphasize responsible and sustainable use of our funds and collaborate with my colleagues.
Thank you, Kristen. That was our 3 minutes. Okay, somewhere between 1.5 minutes and 2 minutes, because there are only the two of you, I think we'll give you a little bit more time if you need it for some of these questions. And our first question, I think, will go to you first, Deb. What do you see as the two top issues facing Neenah, and how would you work to address these issues?
I think the top issue I see right now is related to public safety, and there's a lot of different categories that roll up into that. But I think primarily, we're a very safe city, but I would say I would want to make sure that I was partnering with local leadership on making sure that we enhance our community policing services, et cetera. And then the second category or concern, I would think, for me and the folks in my community, or my neighborhood anyway, we want to make sure that we continue to progress, and we would like to make sure that there's enough housing for seniors, and I say that in the sense that there's affordable housing. So those are the two areas that would be the main focus.
Hey, thank you. How about you, Kristen?
The two main issues that I see, again, I believe public safety is an issue. I think that especially traffic in some areas can be a little risky. I know that we've had a couple of pedestrian versus car incidences within our city limits, and that is something that I think that we need to address. Our children to be able to walk throughout our community without having to worry. I also believe that protecting our environment for the future is going to be of the utmost importance, and that includes our waterways. We are lucky here in Neenah. We have beautiful water that we all have access to. However, I worry deeply about what's going to happen to the water if we do not make sure that we protect it by preventing runoff from other things.
Okay, thank you. Well, you both hit on questions that we have had submitted, so we'll go with one and then the other. And actually, we'll go with this one first because it applied to both of your statements. And Kristen, we'll have you go first on this. Do you think the budget for the Neenah Police Department is too much, too little, or just about right?
I haven't looked very carefully at the Neenah Police budget. However, I believe that if we want to support our police, we should be looking at ways to support them that is not just more money and more policing, because police don't actually stop crime. They help when a crime has been committed. I believe that if we can address mental health issues and things like poverty within our community, that is something that would help more.
Thank you. Deb?
I appreciate that the council voted to fund a police officer, an additional police officer for 2022. And well, I agree with Kristen's comment about, we have to be mindful in that space. I do believe that we do have to take a balanced approach on the number of officers within our community, because our community is growing, and so we're going to need additional bodies to support that community effort.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another thing that you hit on was the environment. It's definitely important for Neenah to address environmental issues dealing with climate change. Deb, this is going to go to you first. What specific steps should Neenah be implementing to improve its sustainability and resiliency?
I'm not as well versed in this category. What I can say is that I think we need to be looking into alternative fuel sources. We are embarking on a new vehicle, an electric powered vehicle. And so we're going to need to figure out from an infrastructure perspective how we can support that moving forward within our community. I think there's opportunities for us to invest time in looking at solar power as well as wind and those kinds of solutions. And I guess from my perspective, I would really want to seek input from those that are experts in that area to determine, how we can best utilize those different sources to help us to be sustainable in the long.
Okay, thank you. Kristen?
So the environment is something I care very deeply about. I worry almost every day about the future that we are leaving for our children and our grandchildren, and I think that we need to be proactive now about what we do. With that being said, I believe that the city should be investing when we need to replace municipal vehicles in electronic or hybrid vehicles. I would love to see some public solar charging stations for electric vehicles within our community. It could be at accessible places like at a park or at the library, maybe that kind of thing. I also have seen a little bit about the Carbon Dividend Act. I attended a city council meeting maybe about a year ago where there was a presentation about it. And I thought that seemed like a very useful thing that I would like the city to look into more.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick follow-up to that for both of you. Would you just tell me how you would define sustainability? If somebody said, what does sustainability mean? What would you say? Deb?
So for me, sustainability is not relying upon our general sources of energy, like gas, oil, electricity, looking for power to help us to power our.
Okay. Kristen?
Sustainability in the ecological sense or just overall?
In the ecological sense.
Okay. So to me, that means that we are making sure that we are using resources that will be lasting and be protective of our environment so that our environment can be sustained, that it can last longer. So that might mean clean energy, finding alternative energy resources. Also, I think that it is important to protect the water because that is also has a very large effect on our environment, the ecology of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Totally switching gears with this one. And this will go to you first, Kristen. Does Neenah have too many tax incremental funding districts, and how should planning for the future of those TIF districts be conducted?
I believe that right now we have enough tax incremental financing districts. I believe that they are a good tool that cities can use. However, I also think that, like anything else, you can get overstretched. I consider the TIF districts to be like, I use this analogy help my brain understand it, like a bridge loan on a house, right? So you might be able to take out a loan on expected increased value on your home, but if you start taking out loan after loan after loan, eventually it gets to be too much. So while I believe that TIF districts can be very useful, I also believe that right now, Neenah, with their 7 TIF districts, has enough happening.
Okay, thank you. And Deb, how do you feel about that?
So I think they're essential to help us to continue to move forward. It has such an impact, not just initially, but also downstream, right? So do we have enough? I think 7 is manageable, right? I'd like to see some of those paid up or off soon. But I also believe we have many areas in Neenah that would benefit from an additional step, right? And so we have a lot of areas that could use some rejuvenation and some re-energization in that space. And I think that'd be a wonderful way for us to help some of those areas. And long term, right, the benefit of it is, allowing taxpayers to pay less money in the long run, and also from an attraction perspective, it allows us to be able to entice businesses here and as well as families here as we continue to develop our city.
Okay, and quick follow-up, and I'm going to go to you first, Deb, with this one. What kind of criteria would you use to decide whether a TIF district should be created or not?
So the state has specific criteria for that, and I think we would need to follow that. And to be honest, I don't know what the city of Neenah uses right now, but I would think we would follow whatever the guidelines are.
Okay, Kristen?
For any new TIF districts that we were to develop, I would want to make sure that we are utilizing local resources, local money, local businesses. I wouldn't want to see money ending up just leaving our community. I want to keep it in our community. I believe that is very important. I also believe that for any TIF districts, I would like to see them be areas that have truly been a problem for a sustained amount of time. For not just, a brief amount of time, I would want to see areas that have been empty for quite a while before we're moving forward, which I believe is part of the requirement.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question goes to you first, Kristen. What is the city's role in supporting and promoting public transportation, particularly for new developments meant for public access, like businesses or housing development?
I have lived in very large metropolitan areas where public transportation was very easily accessible. I would love to see more accessible, more frequent public transportation. I believe that the entire community would benefit from that. So the city, I would like to see support things like public transportation.
Do you have any ideas on, and I'll have you answer both of these too, Deb, but do you have any ideas on how we can increase, say, bus ridership, or how would we promote the public transportation to get people to use it if it was there?
Yeah, I think that if it was a more frequent thing, it would be more usable. When I lived in Hong Kong, the subway came every like 2 minutes during peak times. And so you didn't have to worry about scheduling an hour for your subway ride. You could just hop on, you could know it was going to be there. You could walk down, there was going to be a train, you might have a 2-minute wait, and off you went. So I think if there was more frequent bus movement, it would increase usage just because it would be easier for people to utilize.
Okay, thank you. You need me to reread any of those, Deb?
Can you reread the first one? The
Yes.
first part again? Thank you.
What is the city's role in supporting and promoting public transportation, particularly for new development?
Yes, thank you for that. So I agree with Kristen. We really do need to solve that problem. Because a lot of people need transportation just to get to work, et cetera, and we don't have that ability to have that consistency within our city to get people to and from during off hours, I will say. So for example, let's say you're a second shift worker at one of the factories. Oftentimes our routes don't meet those time frames. And so Kristen's point, totally agree that if we did have a system that was more frequent and reliable, I would assume more people would use it.
The big catch is which is the chicken and which is the egg, right?
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on then. Do you think that the city is providing adequate support for small businesses, such as bars, restaurants, and other locally owned shops throughout the pandemic? And what more can they do? And Deb, will let you lead with that one.
So I think that my impression is that we do support small businesses for sure. And I see that a lot, particularly in the downtown area, which is wonderful. I would like to see us invest a little bit more in that space. And I would love us to start looking at how do we change our paradigms around what is business and what are business owners, et cetera. And when I'm looking at other cities of our size, they're starting to grow some, not at-home kind of businesses, but more of this sort of, I want to say like boutique kind of businesses, and also look at some artisans and those kinds of things. I think that would be interesting to see if we could build our business world here in a different way, not just in the large factories or large corporations, but more kind of entice some of this business.
Okay, Kristen?
So yes, the community itself, I see lots and lots of support for our small businesses. I'm not terribly up to date on how the city supports our small businesses, but I see things like the plaza going in downtown to try to bring more people to some of our small businesses, because if they go to the plaza, they might want to stop for dinner after or go shopping or that kind of thing. So I do think that those are useful. So like I said, I'm not terribly well versed. I would love to see continued support for all of our small businesses within the community.
Okay, thank you. Again, totally shifting gears here. And we'll go to you first, Kristen. If the Neenah School District were to suddenly offer the Shattuck School Complex to the city, what would your stance be? And if they did acquire it, what would be a good use for the property?
Well, I've had many ideas about things that we could use it for. One would be like a community garden or just another park in that neighborhood. I very much believe that green spaces are an integral part of our community and having community space in general. I have also considered, could we put in, I think Deb has mentioned it too, like like an assisted living home there or something of that nature. I thought I saw that there was talk at one point about using where the Bridgewood motel is into assisted living, and I don't know where things are at with that. But we have an aging population here that will need support.
Okay, thank you. Deb?
Yeah, so two thoughts come to mind. The first is that I would love to see that area transitioned a little bit and create single level kind of, what I call it condominium. It's sort of like that flat level condominium living for our seniors, and or create an opportunity for like a senior center of some sort. I think it would be great to have something here in that area for that. And I do appreciate the idea of park space or something along the line, because that area is heavily utilized. It'd be great to do that.
Okay, thanks. Well, speaking of senior centers and such, What would your position be on creating a Neenah Senior Center? And go for it, Deb.
Obviously, I'm all for that. I think it's essential to the health and well-being of our seniors to have a place to gather, just as it is for all ages, right? And I would fully support that. As long as, I would want them to have access to it as well, right? Like, so I wouldn't want to put it so far away that people couldn't get.
Maybe on a bus route, huh?
Exactly. That was running all hours, yes.
Kristen?
I would definitely support the development of a Neenah Senior Center. I can remember when my grandfather retired, he started going to the Milwaukee Senior Center where they had a wood shop. He made all of my family's furniture. He would go every day to the senior center. He knew the guys. They all came to his funeral after he passed. So I believe that the community would benefit from having a senior center. Most definitely.
Okay. And this was something you touched on initially, too, with your initial statements. We'll start with Kristen. How would you suggest the city encourage more affordable housing to be built in the area?
This is a very big problem right now. I can see that families starting off, there aren't houses that are available for them to purchase. So I would want to see us work on, that was another idea I had after my question was over, actually. Maybe we could put some kind of development that was affordable housing for families to purchase, where the Shattuck Middle School complex is. So that is a very important thing. I don't know exactly how we would encourage that development. I know that there is at least one developer, I think in Kakana, who is working on building houses that are in the more affordable 170,000 range. Just still a little expensive for young families, but at this point, that's a lot cheaper than what houses are, so.
Thank you. And Deb?
I think one concern is making sure, and I don't know how we can do this because I don't know what's legal or not, but stopping corporations from purchasing single-family homes, as investments for their companies. That limits the availability of affordable housing when companies or venture capitalists are purchasing kinds of things. That's number one. And then number two, I think affordable housing is larger than just the housing market. We have to make sure that we're providing good paying jobs to our folks in the community. And in order to do that, we have to attract the right kinds of employers. And so I think it's all part of that, making sure we have a solid infrastructure plan in place to help us to get to that affordable housing.
So many pieces to that puzzle, right?
It's huge. Right. You said it's a big problem,
I
yes.
agree with many of the points you made, yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, we are all sitting up here wearing masks, speaking into a microphone, and we're doing that because the league had consulted with the Winnebago County Health Department, and they advised us that that would be a very good thing to do. How do you feel about following the advice of the Winnebago County health officials on things like mask mandates, limiting large events, restricting indoor dining? Yeah, that's probably enough. I probably know what you're both going to say, but go for it. Deb, why don't you lead with this one?
Well, I a disclaimer, I've spent over 30-some years in healthcare, right? And so I believe in following science, and of course, there's lots of discussion about what is science and what is true and what isn't. So I have to place my faith in our healthcare leaders. They are recommending that this is what's going to stop a spread of something that could intentionally harm another individual. Then I am for following. I don't want to enforce it on anybody, but I'm going to follow.
Okay, Kristen?
Very similar. I am not a health expert. I believe that we should listen to our health experts. the people who, this is their job, this is what they have spent years studying. So, yes, I believe that we should follow what the health department recommends to keep us all safe.
Good answers. At this point, I think that we'll give you each another 2 minutes to make any kind of statement you would like. If there's something that you have a passion for that we didn't cover tonight, or anything else that you'd like to share with your potential constituents or the residents near you. And we'll start with you, Kristen.
I'll keep it pretty short because I think I've said everything I had to say. But mostly I want to say thank you again to all the people who have been supporting me. This has been a really fun experience so far, and I am happy to be part of a community that will keep it mostly kind. Is that
Okay, Deb?
And I too would like to say thank you for this opportunity. I was unaware of the League of Women Voters until you guys reached out, so really cool. I'm really glad to see that that women are empowered and part of this, so that's really cool. And then secondly, I just really want to express my gratitude to this community. Everybody I encounter, people are always like, why do you live in Neenah? And I have to keep going back to say, because people care here. We have such a philanthropic spirit, and I love being a part of a community that truly believes in the golden rule, and that doesn't exist everywhere. So I just, no matter what the outcome of anything is, I'm really grateful to be a part of it.
Thanks. Okay, well, with that, we're going to conclude the Neenah District 1 Primary Candidates Forum. On February 15th, you may vote for any one of the 3 candidates, Kristen, Deb, that you can see here, or Kathy Boyant, who was not able to make it tonight, but is the incumbent. And you can vote anytime between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. If you would like to register at the polls, you can do that. Just be sure you take your form of, yes, proof of residence. Thank you. This is why the league is a team. And always take your voter ID because that is required too. So we do encourage you to vote in the primary and absolutely in the general election too. Okay, with that, I think this concludes this portion of our forum tonight.